heart,
see that.
you
I
know.
can totally
So
see
I
that.
think sometimes we might be letting go of good friends because we're not communicating or because we're not learning their way that they want to be loved.
Yeah. Oh, that's key. That's so key, especially because you need to be who you are to be able to be fully loved. Oh, welcome to the Gap We Live In podcast, where we share life, purpose, and everything in between. Make sure you join the conversation and leave with tools to build bridges instead of burning them. I hope you get the ideas you need to make the gap smaller instead of increasing it. Because remember, whatever it is, you're not stuck. You're just in the gap. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gap We Live In podcast. I am your host, Gwendolyn Albright, and today is a special day that I've been waiting so much to do, to bring you this person that is so close to my heart. She's my best friend of so many years. I mean, I kind of stopped counting. And yeah, I will just give her time to introduce herself.
Hello everyone, my name is Agape Kanimba and I'm here with Gwen. She's been a friend for many years and I'm so happy that you have finally started this podcast.
I know.
And I'm excited to see how it's going to unfold. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, just full disclaimer, she is the reason, one of the reasons why this is possible. She was the one in the back pressing play on my first episode, so I would not be here without you.
Oh my God, you're giving me too much credit, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I cannot give you enough credits because, I mean, we're going to kind of share a lot about what we've been for the past years in different continents, different countries, moving, transitioning. I mean, she was the only person that attended all my 3 weddings.
That's a commitment right there.
I'm telling you. I mean, there's no other person in this world that I think has done so much in my life like you have.
Oh my God,
and counting because now she's Yana's aunt and Yana loves her so much. I mean, it's so good to see her in her aunt element here and there. Today she tried to give her a shower and yeah, we're working on that.
Honestly, it's a work in progress, but I'm happy for the friendship that we have. Yeah. 15 years and counting.
Oh my goodness.
How did you even get here?
Who knows? I mean, and counting. All right. Well, so the biggest reason why I thought it was very important that you come to the Gap We Live In podcast is because relationships is definitely one of my most valuable core value, me and my family, and has always been. Yet it has also been one of my most struggled place in my life. I don't know. Yeah, I've struggled a lot in friendships. So it's always so interesting that I can at least have this one friend that has not given up on me, that has stuck up with me through the thick and thin. And so I think it's very important that I share that and I hear your perspective in where you were at when I was struggling, especially in that moment where I would say I was in the gap. I was in the gap where I felt like nobody's going to listen, nobody's going to hear, nobody can understand what I'm going through. So I'm just going to retreat and I'm just going to pretty much just die. But somehow I didn't.
You didn't. I would say that when I look at our friendship for the last 15 years, there's been a lot of grace between you and I. I would actually think we're 2 different individuals.
Absolutely.
Like the things that you like and the things that I like. And I think for most people, friendship has to do with, are we sharing similar things? So are we going to the same school, which is how you and me started, right?
Yeah.
And after that, you know, like, are we including each other in our stories? Like, what do I tell you? Do I feel like you're the person I come to when I'm going through something? And then after that, there's like secrecy. What do I know about Gwen that other people don't know?
Yeah.
So that makes me feel close to you.
Yeah.
So we have gone through all those paths, right? Where it's like we were going to the same school, but after that, when we were out of the boarding school, we chose each other to be friends. There was no like, you know, we were still doing separate things, but we chose to be friends.
But without cutting you off, I think I always ask myself that question actually, and I don't think I ever asked you that. But I wonder, why did you keep choosing me? Because I remember we were in the same boarding school for just a year.
Yeah.
And then you went to a separate school, and I mean, it was, it was a struggle in that school. And I think we just bonded on that.
Yeah.
However, when you left, somehow during the holidays, we kept in touch and you kept choosing me. And I remember you would even involve me in
other things that I was doing in my little circle that I've made outside.
And somehow you were introducing me to your friends. Your family knew me. And so why did you, I don't know if you did that to a lot of people, but why did you, I guess, choose me in the midst of that, like not letting me go because you had let go of a lot of things from that school?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing for me, I saw myself in you.
Okay.
And that's where it started at first. Because if you remember, we actually went to this school where both of us felt a little left out.
Yeah.
Like, where are we?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So when we started, it was like, here's somebody who actually gets me. You know? Here's somebody I can complain to. And I'm like, she gets what I'm saying. This is not just, you know, somebody feeling like, oh, what are you saying? Everybody's going through this. So it started as just like similar stories, similar like pain and emotion that we're going through. And then for me, I guess like the way I would say that I see friendships, and people are different.
Yeah.
Some people, they see the one and they're like, all my energy and emotions, they're going to be in you. Some others, they just get like something from everyone. Like I'll get happiness from Gwen. I'll get like support from this other person. You had so much love to give that I was like, I need this in my life. You know, you were always smiling, always positive, and always just joyful. And I needed that in my life. And because we were able to meet at such a, I guess like
tender
season, where it's like we were both like developing because we were literally kids, you know. So a part of me always felt like you knew the side of me that struggled, you knew the side of me that complained, you knew the side of me that was vulnerable. And I couldn't just let that go. So it was, you know, like even if I went elsewhere, it was always like my heart would, you know, go back to you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful for that, because I feel like even though I did struggle with friendship, even during that time when you left that school, I mean, I had like friends here and there, but that's when I started struggling, because we would bond on one thing, and then when that thing falls off, then there is no other thing to bond on. And then I'm like, oh, where did you go? Like, what did I do? And then I started blaming myself. I'm like, I don't think I'm a good friend. And then I started losing friends there. And I think, so basically, when we talk about the gap, here's where I come in and I'm like, this is the gap I was living in as a teenager. Because as a teenager, you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to be the good girl and be the chosen one, and the, you know, the most clever, beautiful, all the above. And then when I would be with a friend and we bond on something and then they leave, all of a sudden I would just like internalize it and say, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? So that's the gap that I was living in that place. And that's why I say it's very important to notice that you didn't give up on me. And that I knew that when I go back to the holidays, there is this other girl, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm like, I wonder if she's gonna continue to talk to me. I wonder if, you know, there's somebody else better at the other school that I got bonded more with, but somehow I was still there, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that we've actually not been close throughout our entire friendship.
That's true.
There's a time where I told you everything. I was like, oh my God, here's Gwen. This is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I'm struggling. And there's a time where I could spend a year without even talking to you.
Especially when we came to America.
Yeah, to the point where I was like, she's there, but I'm not really calling her. She's not really knowing my day-to-day anymore. But I think like even with that time, like we allowed each other grace because I know where your heart was. I don't think there was ever a time that I thought that if I called you, you wouldn't pick up or you wouldn't understand me.
Right.
And I think that's where sometimes as we try to analyze friendship, we can go wrong. What if one of us had just said, hey, it's been 6 months, you haven't really texted. Let's just like, let me never call her. Let me never check upon her. You know, we could have let go of a friendship that is so beautiful, you know, because we were afraid. Yeah, the gap becomes bigger. And I think one of the reasons why in friendships, there are so many gaps and it's so complicated. It's the lack of communication, but it's also the lack of knowing, how do I give love to someone? Like, what is the best way you receive love to know, like, this is my friend? For example, you might receive love because somebody's giving you words of affirmation, you know, and you're like, oh my God, this is my friend because she gets me. But to me, words of affirmation really don't do much.
It doesn't care.
You know, like there are other ways that I'm like, I think through quality time, if I'm going through something with you, that's when I'm like, okay, we are locked in, you know, because my heart,
see that.
you know,
I can totally
so I think sometimes we might be letting go of good friends because we're not communicating or because we're not learning their way that they want to be loved.
Oh, that's key. That's so key, especially because you need to be who you are to be able to be fully loved. Oh, okay. I need to repeat that.
Yeah.
You need to know who you are to know how to be fully loved. Because if I did... Oh my gosh, I love that, because if I go back in even our history, you left to America before me, like a year before. And I remember you come to visit for the last time, and I was like, well, I don't know if we're going to see each other again. Even the fact that you came to say goodbye was like, oh my goodness, like this is, oh, I love this girl. But then after that, we never knew we were going to meet again. And we just happened to go to America. I happened to go in America for college after that. And that, I don't know if it was that year or the year after, I was looking for a place to stay. And I don't even remember, like, I don't know if I called you or you called me or we found each other on Facebook. I don't know what happened. But I remember having that conversation and saying, oh my gosh, I'm in America too. What, like,
let's reconnect.
Let's reconnect. Like, and then you are a quality time type of girl. I have quality time, but I think I'm more of affirmation.
You love words of affirmation, but you also know how to give words of affirmation. That I would, you know,
it's my joy. I love helping people realize who they are and how people really see them, you know. But to that point, I remember you inviting us to Ham, my sister and I. And I was like, I mean, oh, why not? I told my mom, I'm like, so it was like Christmas break. I think it was our first Christmas, actually.
It was our first Christmas. I remember.
It was my first Christmas in America. No, second. It was my second Christmas.
But it was our first together.
It was our first together. Yeah, so you said, oh, you can just come to Ohio. We're just gonna, we have an extra, I don't even remember. Oh, what, anyways. That's like details, but it was also, I think, like our relationship somehow, it was a flow.
It was a flow.
I didn't have to like over calculate. But we had spent a year plus without even knowing where each other, like our lives. But when we were connected, it was like,
it was like instantly, girl. Like definitely. And another thing that I'm thinking about as you're saying this is our friendship has never been transactional.
Ooh,
and I think that's why we're able to like have so many different memories, also be distant, but know that you had a true friend somewhere. And by transactional, I never counted how much am I investing in Gwen? And I'm
That's
like, oh,
true.
I did this for Gwen this day. I'm not counting, and you're not counting.
Yeah.
There are times where, you were putting more into me, especially when we were young.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't remember that.
I would say that for me, like how I saw it, I was like, oh, like, Gwen came to visit me. Gwen is coming to my stuff. For example, like I would invite you to places and invite you to like see different people, different friends that I had met. And you were just like always willing,
Yeah.
It wasn't that I was counting like, wait a minute, why is she not introducing me to her friends?
Yes.
So like that's the part of like support that is not like it wasn't transactional. Like because I did this, she has to reciprocate. Or because
I love that.
I am doing this for her. Now I'm expecting her to do exactly the same.
Wow.
So I think
totally.
like that grace and that like love without being like, hit for that.
Yeah.
I think it has helped us definitely like continue like a friendship of I might get into something knowing that I need you and knowing that I don't have anything else to give you.
Yeah.
But just knowing that you'll be there for me, knowing that you give me the right advice and knowing that your heart will be in the right place. Not because I'm giving you the same, but because, I know you love me.
That's really good. Oh my goodness. I love that because I never thought of it. Part of it was like, oh, Agape is giving me too much. But yet again, well, first of all, I wasn't really asking for it. It just happened to be there. And then I love that you saw it as you're also giving. Even though you're coming to my house, I am giving you a bed to sleep in. You're also giving me your time.
Yeah, but some people might not see it like that. And I think that's where friendships go wrong.
Yep.
And the gap is increasing. It's because you're like, wait a minute, I visited Gwen 5 times,
Yeah.
But then, she only saw me once. Like, if we count how many times you've come to Ohio,
I know.
it's been a lot. Yeah. But if I count how many times I've been to Denver, but we don't calculate it like really that,
Yeah.
And I think, like, sometimes it's like, I feel like I'm losing a friend because here's what I have done for them. And when I look at the other side, they haven't really done.
But I think also it goes back to what you were saying, because both of us are just living in that trust of I'm giving. I'm not thinking of what I'm giving. I'm just being your friend. I'm being your sister. You're being my children aunt. You're being my husband's sister-in-law. Like I trust you to do that, and whatever that looks like, because I have that trust, then I don't have to calculate like what is she gonna do to my like today. I just was like, go give her a shower, and I you know what happened.
Yeah.
But in my head, there's nothing that you're gonna do that is bad, because I trust you with my life. I could trust you with my children's life. And that's because there is that trust which I think, thinking of the gap that we live in, is those bridges that even though we have not, lived door to door, or even, in the same state through the years, every time I saw you, that trust was built. Yeah. Every time I talked to you, there is another trust that was built. When you told me when I told you about my wedding, you were like, how dare you tell me, okay, like how? The last time we talked, you didn't even have a boyfriend. What do you mean you have a wedding? But guess what? You were the first to say, I have a ticket. I'm coming to all your weddings.
Yeah.
And I'm contributing to anything and everything. And I'm like, and you didn't think twice.
Yeah.
So that's like the bridges, instead of burning them, and instead of burning them by saying like, oh, this girl did not even consider that I could not have money, for example, or I could have other plans. I was like, here you go. And you took it, and you're like, you know what? This is what I'm going to give, and this is how I'm going to give it, and it's going to be the best. So it's that trust. It's like the bricks, so that the gap becomes smaller, or the bridges, so that we're not making them bigger.
Definitely. As we're talking about this, I'm also thinking like there are points, for example, like the same example you just gave of when you told me about your wedding. Honestly, I was very surprised because I remember us being on the phone being like, man,
Yeah, like, I don't know, we're gonna
here. And then the next time I meet this girl, she's like, hi, I'm engaged. I'm like, hold on,
What
wait
is
a
going
minute.
on? Yeah.
For someone else, that might be like a make
turn
or
off.
break point.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you, with like 10 plus years of friendship,
I know.
you come to me and tell me like you're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
No background, no involvement
Yep.
in the story. So how would you like explain to people, or how would you advise to people who are going through the phase where they feel like, I have a friendship with someone,
Yeah.
but this thing that they did, is it a make or is it a break point? And maybe they don't have like a long friendship like we've had. Maybe they don't have 10 years of friendship. How do you explain to them that maybe this is something you might still give a chance, and maybe there's still something beautiful in this friendship, or maybe it's time to let go,
Let's get it over with.
Yeah.
Well, where I stand with that is, again, first realizing the gap. First realizing what gap am I finding myself in right now. For example, her finding out that I am having, getting married, it's like, she could have said like, okay, that's too much of a gap that I'm not gonna invest anything. I just can't go have a good life. However, realizing that it is a gap, but what is on the other side is staying in my life. What is on the other side is actually enjoying that, seeing me married, because obviously it's a joyful thing.
For you and just
being happy.
Yeah.
So I think what happened, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is you saw it as, hey, another opportunity to be a sister. I actually would not miss your wedding for anything in this world.
Yeah.
And that gap just becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, because then now what could have been a resentment opportunity, it becomes let me bless this girl.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to do that sometimes.
It's so hard
because we just find it in the gap. Because when you're in the gap,
you're finding reasons
to not do it.
To not be like, hey, I was disrespected. Hey, I was not involved. Hey, they're not like giving me the same thing. Like, it's so easy to find reason, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you can just hold on to why were we friends to begin with.
So you look beside the gap.
Yeah.
So first it's realizing like, oh wait, what is that I'm feeling?
Yeah.
Is it, this is not healthy, this has probably never happened to us, or this is bigger than what has happened to us before. However, look in the outside and say, what on the other side of me going past this? And yes, sometimes it's just gonna not be worth it.
Yeah.
Because if you've always been in the gap all the time you always find yourself as the one that is always been, the ball has always been dropped, then maybe it's not worth doing that when the gap becomes bigger.
Yeah.
However, and that's the key of realizing that you're in the gap. But when you know that you're in that gap, and then you see on the other side, I'm like, I wonder what would be on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? What was on the other side is you became one of my maid of honors.
Period.
Which, oh my goodness, the pictures are amazing.
You look so beautiful that day. I mean, you look beautiful every day, but
no, sometimes I look at them and I'm like, I don't know who this girl is, but praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now you are my auntie's children. You're one of my our favorite family friends. My husband trusts me with you.
Yeah,
and now I get to say like, oh, I wonder what it will be like when you get engaged and when you get married.
Yeah,
and like let's keep that going.
Let's keep that going.
At the end of the day, that was one thing. What happens if I drop the ball again? Then you're going to be like, okay, how are we going to do this? But also it's the communication. It's the communication piece.
And also being vulnerable, I would say that sometimes when you are talking to a friend or you haven't reached out to your friend in a long time, let's say 6 months or more, you start feeling like, why should I even reach out to you, honestly?
Yeah.
You know, like, we haven't been friends in a long time. You don't know my day to day. You're not really close to me. And I'm gaining other friends. But it takes a vulnerable person to reach out to you and be like, hey, I miss you.
Yeah.
When am I going to see you again?
Yeah.
You know, like, sometimes I think what breaks us is the lack of communication and lack of being vulnerable in friendships. And if you really give it a chance, you would see that it's worth it on the other side, like you just described.
Yeah. Yeah. I love everything you're sharing, and it just helped me realize the biggest thing that made me struggle with relationship, and maybe some of you might relate to this, is most of the time I would lose myself. And then I need somebody like you that knew even a piece of me that is right, so that I can pick back up. Because what happens is you fall in the gap.
Yep.
You fall in the gap.
And you blame yourself.
And then you blame yourself.
And then you stay there.
Then you stay there. And
gap
then
is
the
becoming
enemy
big.
just continue to, like, the water becomes bigger, and then you start drowning, and then, you die. So I think every time, like, I remember even when you told me, when I told you about my wedding, you were like, oh my goodness, you're full of surprises. What are you going to tell me next, that you're pregnant? And I was like,
Soon enough, you did tell me that,
Exactly. So
full of surprises.
Full of surprises. But then you said it as yes, it was like, come on, like, you could have told me. But then you also said it as a joke-ish.
Yeah.
But it invited me back in.
Yeah.
I did not feel as guilty as I could have, because you said, there is basically kind of like telling me, there is a gap, but let's try to find out how to keep going, because you might be surprising me again.
Yeah. And also, like, before we go off of that point, another thing that I was thinking about is, what about people who are in a gap where they feel like, me and the other friend were so different. Maybe we used to be alike, but now we are so different. We don't go to the same things. We don't really listen to the same music. We don't, like the same thing. How do we even keep, a friendship when you feel like there's not really anything left?
That's so key. That's so key, because actually that was my next point is, now I'm a mom.
Yeah.
Now I'm a wife. You're not yet.
I am not.
Yet.
Yeah.
Emphasis on yet.
Yeah, but we're living in two different worlds.
We're living in two different worlds. But guess what? You are still the agape that I need. We need to find what that looks like. Right now, back in the days when you did something for me, and maybe we go to the movies together, that would have made my day. But now, when you watch my daughter for an hour so I can take a nap, that's so much love.
That's much.
That's all I needed for the year, you know? So I think it's that key of, how can I still be who you need me to be in this moment, and not transactional? Because if I needed to pay you every time you watch my daughter,
oh my God,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you say so well, because it's also allowing the other person to be who they are.
Exactly.
I knew you before you were a mom. Exactly. I knew you before your husband knew you.
Yep.
I knew you when we were kids.
Yeah.
So if I just try to hold on
that little girl that,
and it's like, you're going to change, you're going to evolve. So will our friendship. You're going to meet other moms where you feel like, I am closer to them, but there's still going to be like a part of me that you're like, oh, I like this in Agape. And I'm going to be like, I like this in Gwen. And our friendship is not defined by
that, just
you being a mother, you being this. There's just so much more than, like a simple, like definition or title that you have in your life. And I'm going to be like, oh, just because she's a mom and I'm not, let's go our separate ways.
And you, people in the comments or wherever you're watching this, what was your experience with that? Because I'm not gonna lie, I am experiencing this so much, especially as a new mom and a new wife, whereby your circle becomes smaller.